Hello, guys, we meet again. The preseason is actually quite unsuitable for mobile phones because physics getting bigger and the scale area is getting bigger. It's very laggy. This preseason I tried the very popular Spacetime, Elapse Youga. Basically everyone is using mind control. There's a problem with mind control. It's very cost effective in the early stage, super powerful. Maybe at level 50 or 60, ultra-rates have already been unlocked. But after that, on your way up, you'll find that if you want to improve, you're going to use a slate of new card, but the speculation has driven up the price. A lot of you may not know what to do then. Well, I'll share with you the build with blurry steps and shadow swamp, which is relatively unknown and few. That's why things are relatively cheap. As to dummy testing, currently the damage can stabilize at 500 billion. And the survival, as you can see, without pressing anything, the survival is about 10 million. The advantage is that it's better for mobile phone. It's fully automatic. All you need to do is press blurry steps after you enter. Then you press shadow swamp. And you keep pressing blurry steps to walk forwards and pick up items. Also, when you meet chests, the 6 cards gameplay won't be broken either. If it breaks, just one more press of blurry steps, shadow swamp can be renewed. No need to worry. It's a single core exquisite box in terms of cost. The single core exquisite box is also very cheap right now. The others are all very cheap stuff. Basically, it can be done with 1 to 2000 FE. Because it's not new card. Stuff and the slate are very cheap, too. Basically costing a couple dozen FE. Let's get into the specific explanation. First, I'll go through the talents. It's the standard Goddess of Deception. Have a look. Here's to get the energy shield. Then is Psychic. The key of Psychic is to get this paralysis. The rest is basically the same. But it's not recommended to choose these. It's unnecessary. Warlock. It's standard prelude and stab in the back here. If you played the former build with me, you should know how powerful these two talents are. Control seal mana on your own. If you don't have enough, choose for more. If you have enough, you can choose something else. Here you need to make up for resistance. If you don't make up for resistance, you can choose this. Or this. It's relatively free choice. Then let's see Divinity Slate. Quite cheap one. You choose Rush. Or you can use other slates to increase damage. See what you have, as long as it increases damage. This one's about a couple dozen FE. When I bought it, it was like 20 or 30 FE. Let's talk about the key points. Here you need own 1 additional stacks of Focus Blessing. Nothing else matters. In terms of a corner of Divinity, look for 2 affixes that both increase damage. If not, look for TLT. Under normal circumstances, these are a few dozen FE. None of these are necessary. You can look for skill level. If it's expensive, you may turn to Curse, or Damage Increase, or anything else. You may choose Fallen Starlight, or brand by yourself. Here you need plus 20% chance to gain Tenacity Blessing and Agility Blessing when receiving Focus Blessing, and plus 30% defense gain from chest armor. It doesn't matter if the affix is up or down. Offense and defense are both provided. These 2 slates provide us with Blessing and movement speed, because Agility Blessing is about movement speed. Tenacity Blessing works with defensive skill. Pretty good. To make slate on your own, you'd better have all skills level. If you don't have a good one, you may look for persistent skill level. It's better to have 2 damage increasing affixes. Some of the affixes here are obsolete. You can also use Fallen Starlight here. If you have, you can put 2 Fallen Starlight here. Good Fallen Starlight can bring 2 damage increases. The choices for the slate are various. Basically the slate costs a couple hundred FE. Let's have a look at memories. Here you need a 15-second Secret of Time. If you don't have a 15-second one in the early stage, 13 or 14-second also work, preferably a 15. It costs about 5 or 6 FE. For Time Gravel, look for movement speed and energy shield. If there's no energy shield, go for movement speed, or anything else, like rape or additional something. I require movement speed. If you need damage increase, you can buy Spacetime speed up, but it's too expensive. It's not really necessary. You may look for movement speed, because we had to move faster. And here, the core is to find 81 Reaping cooldown recovery speed. For the nether one, additional affliction, or additional persistent, or others all work. Recommendation is that you must have a T1 additional Reaping cooldown recovery speed. Nothing else matters. This one's about 8 or 9 FE. Traits, all choose the first one. Get the last trait out. That's it. Since now we've finished the trade, it's time for skills. First is Soul Candle. Soul Candle is just very cheap, max terror quantity +1 and movement speed, and that's it. To max terror quantity +1, can't buy the wrong one. Max terror quantity +1 and movement speed. To run faster, such a Soul Candle is about a dozen FE. Shadow Swamp and its 5 links. That's it. In case some of you got a super great Soul Candle, you may get Cataclysm Soul Candle. War Control Spell Soul Candle. Here you can replace it with other damage increasing stuff, like Pain Amplification and Shortened Duration. These are all fine. Getting those Soul Candles is pretty powerful too. That way you can get 7 cores. Of course, if you don't have it, it's not recommended. If you want to play this build, just buy to max terror quantity +1. Secondly, standard blurry steps. Overclock blurry steps. Because the core is Shadow Swamp, you can enjoy the effect of overclock and blurry steps. Then start Stalker with overclock. Put them with rhythm. Frost Shield and its 3 links. Since it is triggered by Exquisite Box, you can barely be interrupted. Besides, even with Iron Fortification and defense layers, it won't be interrupted. The advantage of Frost Shield is that it can link blinding. You can inflict blind on enemies when going through them, to add some survival. Shadow Shot with 1 projectiles. And greater multiple projectiles. Some of you don't want to choose 1 projectiles, but Cataclysm is useless, because the probability of wield is too low. It's okay if you still want to bring it, but it's totally unnecessary, because the speed of affliction is pretty fast. The only point here is to add projectile speed. Some of you may choose jump, it's also a good choice. If you want more, multiple projectiles is also fine. If you don't have enough energy to link to skills, just put greater multiple projectiles. Euphoria on Hedge, Burst of Anger, help you run fast, and it can increase your physique this season. It's pretty good. Here links Precise, Energy Fortress, and Swiftness. To run fast. As you can see, many configurations don't increase damage. Like this one. If you want to increase damage, you can put Arcane Circle here, and you can choose Mana Boil. This way the damage could be in the trillions, but it's not necessary. We need a comfortable game feel when farming, and Burst of Anger can trigger Exquisite Box. Innate Curse. With Erosion Amplification and Precise, Deep Pain, I got stand as 1 from Path of the Brave. If you don't have Path of the Brave, you may use Abysmal Hatred to add Curse. Here you can choose Entangle Pain or Efficient Cast. The returns are about the same. Then Auto Defense and Defensive Buffer. It should link defense layers. And add Elemental Resistance. Then it's Steadfast. That's a pretty good match. Seal Mana is also fairly balanced. Skills are done. And then a little bit about the gear. Why the gear is cheap? The core is to buy whatever you want. A chunky defensive Exquisite Box will do. Now it's about 650 FE. If you want improvement, just corrode the penultimate effects. Trigger the skill of the 5th slot when dealing damage. Reducing cooldown can increase damage. If corroding tool fixes, then corrode defensive skill effect and the penultimate one. For the helmet, I recommend Long Night Sorcerer's Mask. Go looking for one with 3 energy shield prefixes. It doesn't matter what the suffixes are. Craft on your own. You may craft max terror chart stacks or amplification, or the base has one of these. All of them work. I recommend the base of Long Night Sorcerer's Mask, because there's +1 spell skill level. Look at me. I don't have Dream Interpretation on me. If there's Dream Interpretation, I'll be more powerful. Then the chest armor. I should have crafted this myself. Get a base with T1 energy shield for the chest armor, and then roll a little. As you can see, my plasticity is still 200. It's basically rolled out of flame sand. Then craft a T0 or T1 energy shield. The 6th affix is not recommended to craft. Since I've crafted it, I use it. Defense energy shield. I bought the gloves. I bought the leftovers from excellent players. It costs about 250 FE. It doesn't have to be this base. Any base will do. You need 2 energy shield and 1 rape. Others are all about resistance. That's it. The belt was also replaced by the excellent players. When I bought it, it was T1 reducing damage taken at low mana and T1 elemental resistance. Then I upgraded it myself. Now it's T0 reducing damage taken at low mana. Then I crafted by myself. The last one's a bust. Blue Affliction is not so good. Prefixes should preferably be reducing damage taken at low mana, energy shield, and then armor. Because of the lack of armor, energy shield is brittle. Suffixes can make up for resistance if there's lag. There has to be a raping. Then the shoes. I just choose the shoes that run fast. Look for aura effect and movement speed. And craft your energy shield for the rest. Of course, energy shield in the base would be better. Same for the ring. Search for reaping cooldown recovery speed in the trade house. Then make up the resistance. Here I upgraded them by myself. But they didn't seem to be very good. I didn't remove strength. And got to T0. That's all for the gear. Some of you may quest for the extreme, so you can choose resistance, reaping cooldown recovery speed, and affliction for the last 3 fixes. Prefixes are energy shield, armor, max life and defense. The followings are reaping cooldown recovery speed, elemental resistance, erosion resistance, and affliction. They're the best 6 affixes. For the weapon, you can buy max terror charge stacks and erosion skill level. That can be relatively cheap. Spell skill level may be more expensive. Upgrade max terror charge stacks preferentially. This is also the place to look for erosion skill level and max terror charge stacks, and then craft a little bit yourself. Since you can't craft spell skill level, you may craft elemental and erosion resistance penetration. Both weapons should have reaping. It's best to craft affliction effect for both, because we lack affliction effect. If you don't have max terror charge stacks in the helmet, you may craft affliction for it. It's very flexible. We're done with the gear. A full set is basically 2000 FE. Now I think we're almost done with the stuff. A lot of the excellent players just change down some stuff. If you can, just poke around a bit. The info shows I have about more than 20,000 energy shield. Resistance is basically full. That's why I always choose resistance. That's why I choose resistance here. You can see that just now resistance need 4% more to be full. I've covered all the talents and traits. In terms of farming, just run. It's super fast. Try to cast skills after level 11. Then you can pick up something while you're running. So that's it for this video. See you in the next video.